Howdy, y'all.
Rumors spread around, and that takes its time. But the shack outside the game. You know what I'm talking about. Just let me know if you wanna go to that old mile on the Grange. I'm racing.
I might be mistaken. Howdy, y'all. How's it going today? If you don't know that I'm Voodoo, that's alright with you do. 2-hour tailgating today. And why? Why? Well, because I'm doing this using this to this. Y'all can see that it's a nice dull yellow, not bright and shiny or polished looking. Give me some time. Give me some time. Alright, so it's a little under 60 degrees here. For anybody who doesn't know, this hat was a gift. Sort of a godsend. Thank you, Steph. I appreciate you. For you who don't know who Steph is, hopefully you will learn. Got 2 of you in here. Not sure who you are. Don't be afraid to chat. But I'm going to be working on this, at least for the first, well, until I get it sanded down to a better quality. And then, of course, we're going to give it a quick little rub down with that cheap as crap bottle of Ukraine vodka. It was $1, and it was just something that fell into the basket last time I was at the liquor store. This should not take very long. I know this because the last time I did it, it did not take very long. The yellow stain comes right off pretty quickly. In fact, 3 strokes. Howdy, y'all. How y'all doing? Doing well, doing well.
Good.
Did your friend get back to Virginia?
Yes, he did. He said he came over twice to talk to you and, sit and smoke the pipe with you. But he just knocked on the door and he said no one answered.
Missed him both times. I'm sorry about that. Well, I'm glad he did like that little pack of tobacco.
Yeah, thanks for giving it to him.
Sure, not a problem.
All right, you have a good day.
Well, you
We're
take
going to
care.
keep moving or we're going to freeze.
I understand that.
See you later.
Y'all be careful. So some of my neighbors, they had a friend down at Christmas time, and lo and behold, he's a pipe smoker. And like the only person other than me that smokes a pipe in this whole neighborhood at all that I've ever seen. So I made sure to donate him some of my tobacco, letting him know, hey, we're friendly around here. At least that's what I thought I was doing. Anyways, he tried to come over twice, and I must have missed him or been out both times. My loss. Not only was he a pipe smoker from Virginia, he was also U.S. Army. So we would have had lots to talk about. No, I wouldn't have gotten it on film because I wouldn't have gotten it on film. Oh, son of a bitch. Well, so I just dropped the ugly pipe, and where it landed, it took a little chip out right there. Might have just completely destroyed this. Well, that's all right. This was not supposed to be perfect. This is supposed to be practice. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice, man. That's okay. Like I said, I'm not looking for this pipe that I got from a garage sale to ever be anything other than smokable. And I didn't even have to refinish it. Wasn't trying to do something special, just I had the ability and I had the time, and I might as well get the practice in. Don't know if any of y'all were watching Mike's show last night. Still nobody's talking to me on here. That's all right though. Mike says he's sending me a package, and I pretty much already know what it is. Because he told me what it was. So at some point in the very near future, I'm going to be working on my first ever hobby block and trying to see if I actually have any kind of talent towards producing an actual pipe. Now, we're going to be seeing a lot of that because I will be doing some live actual carving with a knife. I'm not going to be trying to do anything crazy. You know what? I bet you I could just cut that off. It might make it a little bit weird, but I can cut that off. I think I can. Alright. So I haven't gone far enough with taking the yellow down yet. Still got some to do. According to both Jay Mouton and Philip Rivera from yesterday, they said, just keep making dust. You'll make it eventually. So, gentlemen, I'm going to take that advice. Huva Ilta! Oh, good Lord. Trevisia Pacus Temesta. Pecus Temesta. I'm not sure what that means, Boris. Greetings from freezer. Oh, good Lord. Yeah. It was 70 degrees yesterday around here, and it's not going to hit 65 degrees at the best today. In fact, I think it's going to stay around 55, 56. So it feels a lot colder than it actually is, but that's because the body can't acclimatize. And if the body can't acclimatize, it feels colder. Actually, I believe the correct phrasing is can't acclimate. But if you're expecting proper English, I would suggest watching Briar Blues and not Voodoo Review. Oh, goodness, Boris. That is still too much for me. 32 degrees. I mean, I guess if it's like I said, if it's constant, if it gets there and stays there, then it'll be pretty good. But at least around here, it'll never get there and stay there. All right, let's see here. Got a little more on this side. I gotta tell you, this, it just comes right off. I am not working very hard on it. And I'm not even sure that the contrast dye is going to do what I wanted it to because of how dark it was to begin with. Now, if y'all were watching yesterday, y'all saw I put it on pretty thick and I left it on overnight. And a lot of this is quite literally just sand a little bit, wipe it down, sand a little bit, wipe it down. And I'm not wiping with the vodka yet. What I'm getting is a nice satiny, shiny, almost shiny finish. Except for dropping it and knocking that little chip out, which I might shorten that, and I mean, I've got enough room there I can shorten it. Without getting crazy. It's never going to be perfect. like I said, it was a $5 garage sale pipe with no stem. If you're looking for perfection out of a $5 garage sale pipe with no stem, you're probably in the wrong business. You need to go into being the Pope, because that's the only kind of miracle that's going to make that happen. Of course, something tells me you're not allowed to smoke pipe if you're the Pope. Probably against some sort of church doctrine. Look, it turns all bright and yellowy. And no, I'm probably not as good as some of the professionals at keeping a chat going while I'm doing this. When I tell you, I've been watching a lot of Jay Mouton and Jay Allen and Philip Rivera. Watching what they do, trying to get it in my head. Okay, if I do this, I get this result. Now, I'm also going to say, look, I've also seen them use their lathes, and I realize I don't have one. So, I've got to work with what I got. Alright, so let's see what we got here. A little bit of yellow. I still kind of want to get off of them right here. Howdy, Todd. Glad you could get in with us today. And I'm thinking about, okay, so there's this little crack here. Which just showed up when I dropped the pipe. I'm thinking about just cutting that little piece off. Mostly because, well, as I've said, this was a cheap pipe. It was an old pipe. It was a used pipe. It didn't come with everything that I wanted for a true pipe. But it was a usable pipe. Nah, I'm not going to epoxy it. I'm going to trim it back. I believe I can trim that. Especially when that's what I've been using for a stem for it. It's not like as if I've actually done anything great for this pipe. Now, I've taken it down about as far as I'm willing to take it at present. I can take it farther. I can always come back and sand more, but time to put a little vodka on it. Don't worry, the pipe will not get drunk by that amount of vodka. Neither will the piper. But what it does do, as you can see, it pulls a lot of that stain right back up off of there. And kind of hazes the yellow enough that I can start seeing that, yeah, I probably should sand this some more. But with a, no, I'm not drinking vodka. I don't like vodka. Wife likes vodka. I am much more of a bourbon person. I could probably talk bourbon with Odie. You know, WKRP Piper. So, after wiping it down with the vodka, we can actually see that there is a lot more sanding to go on that. But it doesn't show up quite as well until you wipe it down with that vodka, that there is so much more of that yellow coat right out there on the top. Now I'm going to suggest to anybody who's doing this for the first time that you find yourself a small rubberized mat, or you find yourself a small piece of carpet. So that when it starts getting slick, you wouldn't believe this pipe could get that slick. I wouldn't believe it could get that slick. But I don't want to see somebody else make my mistake and drop their finished work on the ground, and then suddenly they've got to do the same thing I've got to do now, and that's cut a little piece off. Oh, luckily I've got a little bitty woodworking hobby saw that will do that just fine. But the difference between doing it and wanting to do it is vast. I don't want to do it. I'm going to do it, but I don't want to. And again, I am sanding as much as I can with the grain of the pipe, so that if it does leave weird scratch marks, it will leave them with the grain, which won't pull the eye away from those scratches. It will blend in. Now with 800 grit, you're not going to have much in the way of scratches that you're going to really see. What you will end up with is a nice, basically smooth, shiny layer. I wouldn't have believed it would be shiny when I first thought about doing this. I didn't think 800 grit was going to be a shiny. Now that I've done it though, 800 grit's shiny. Alright, a little more vodka. A little more yellow coming off of there. Yes, I should be using Everclear according to 2 or 3 different people. But I don't have any Everclear, so I'm not. I probably could do this with cotton ball or cotton swabs. If I wanted to spend the money, I could probably do it from denatured alcohol. I am a little worried about how much yellow is coming right back to the top. I'm wondering if it's leaching it out of the wood. Howdy, Mike. Quality cognac or rum will do, like good vodka, if heating, better fire. Ah, Booker's is pretty nice stuff. So I applied the stain, the yellow stain yesterday. First coat I went through, sanded, wiped it down, applied the black and let that dry. It's not a full 24 hours, but I would say it's it was 22 and a half. So maybe that's why everybody burns it, is so that it will but only the surface excess stain. Okay. No big deal. I'm just I'm just using a paper towel to basically polish at this point. Funny thing people don't realize, a paper towel actually has a certain grit level. Right. So, as Mike has just pointed out, even if I take too much of the yellow back off, I can always apply more and then redo, resand, however I want to go about it. And except for that chip that I just knocked out of my pipe down here on the stem, which is going to bug me forever. And, well, that's all right, because it, like I have said before, we're talking about a $5 garage sale find. And yes, I knocked a chip out of it when I dropped it. Well, unfortunately, what I've been using has never fit I made this from a burned out cob. No, it wasn't the best possible situation, but it was a usable at the time situation. And it this right here, no, it's not briar. It is a hardwood. It's the stem that you'll find on most Missouri meerschaums. I whittled it down so that it would fit. Probably the wrong thing to do. And at some point, I will probably end up looking for stem material so that I can make one. I agree with you there, Mike. That's why I decided I was going to... This bowl is not briar? It might be. I don't know. I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying to judge whether this was briar or pear or junk. Only thing I do know for a fact is it used to have a Used to have a nice shiny coat on it, but the coat was bubbled when I bought it. Probably paid too much at paying $5 for it. But I was out in the middle of pretty much nowhere, came across this garage sale, had some time to kill. Got out, looked over what they had. Okay, so briar doesn't have pores like that. Okay. I won't disagree with you there, Mike, because I don't know enough to tell you. But as you pointed out, this is just practice. Somehow Mike is sending me something that is going to really give me headaches. And I'm okay with that. I'm looking forward to all the headaches I can get. And as Mike also pointed out, I'm learning. And it's fun to see what I can do before I get into a situation where I have to do it. I don't want to have to do something and do it wrong when I can learn on pieces like this. And even if I get it all kind of wrong, I've learned what I shouldn't do. All right, Todd, good to have you in. So what I've done here is I've worked on this for just under 40 minutes today, which brings the grand total. Hand files and rasps. No, but I can get them. There is a little place called Northern Tool right up the road. And I go by there quite often. So yes, I have a ugly pipe that might or might not be briar. Probably not briar. I am taking note of your suggestion there, Mike. I appreciate your suggestion. Believe me, I appreciate greatly your suggestion. I am not in the mood to screw up too many more pipes. So now, as we could see, now I probably should have not smoked this while it's not finished. But it smokes so good, it's hard to say no. That's okay. Oh look, there's my little bottle of vodka going back in the box with everything else. I got it back to where I feel comfortable with what I've done for the day. Oh yes, yeah, I see exactly what you're talking about when you said the pits or the pores. So what you're specifically saying makes all kind of sense, not even a question. I am not disagreeing with you at all. Far as I know, as best I can tell, there are no maker marks on that briar or pear. There's a weird grain pattern which makes me believe that Mike is completely correct. And the only thing that I know for certain is that it smokes real well. I know this because all the renovation I've done on it has not affected the way that it's going to smoke. I've not done anything that's going to affect that. I haven't bored it out. I haven't cut new holes or anything. I did take a little chip out of the back edge, but I believe that there's enough there I can cut that off and reinsert that ugly stem. And let me be for real and honest. I didn't buy it for its beauty. It wasn't a pretty pipe to begin with. Yeah, the chip's right here, but it's such a small, tiny thing, and because there's now a crack, I think I'm going to cut that and remove the crack, which should stop it from spreading. Should. Of course, again, this is something to learn on. That way, just in case I do somehow crack us. Is that the strommel? Glue it back on, let it set, then wrap it with wire. I could give that a shot. I bet you I've got some wire. Strommel is the block. You crack the shank. Okay, so I cracked the shank. Okay. Sorry, I cracked the shank. Because I was stupid and I dropped it on the... Silver wire or brass. Okay. Ah, yeah, but your shank is cracked up here. In case anybody was wondering why I didn't come in directly at 2 o'clock, as I'd more or less promised, my mother-in-law decided she wanted to get me to do a couple of electrical estimates here in the house for things that she wants done. And time got away from me. What can I tell you? I was an electrician for 18 years. I loved it. I loved it. It was loads of fun. Still is loads of fun. That sensation of, oh my God, something has got a hold of me and it's trying to kill me. And being able to say, yeah, but God doesn't want to meet me today, so screw that. Yeah, the sides are coming in better this time. Often enough, they do not connect. And in fact, if I pull like this, you'll see that, nope, it still doesn't connect. That's just all long whisker. It's camouflage. And when I look at it here on the screen, it just looks scraggly, and if it stays this way, it's coming off as soon as it gets warm enough that I won't freeze out here while I'm doing it. It will never fill in, Mike. It will never fill in. My grandfather, both sides, my dad, we can't grow beards. I've got the best looking one out of the whole family that has ever even attempted it. I've been patient for 20 years, Mike. Hell, I'm 46. Literally, I was 26, 27, and going out on the road, and I finally got something that would work more than just this scruffy stuff that was just better shaved. And then when this came in, it literally comes in forked. The stuff right here in the center will stop growing. So I've got to keep doing this to get it to pull together. And then the stuff here on the sides starts getting to where it wants to go anywhere it wants to go, and I got to keep messing with it. And this is since October. This is all that's grown since October. I did do a really light trimming of it, but just the stuff that was scraggling out here along the top, and just here right to the corners of the mouth, just so I could eat without everything going in my mouth. And hell, I got a bald spot that comes in right here. Oh yeah, no, I've checked out their stuff too. Hell, I've even used some of these products that they say, oh yeah, it'll help thicken up your beard and make it grow better, and oh, use this wax or that product or this and that and the other. Some say wash it, some say don't wash it too much. Short of 20 grit, just sanding the whole face off, there's really not much I can do with it. But it keeps me from looking exactly like my dad, and that's the reason my wife wants me to keep it. She says that actually my beard looks like ass, and she would prefer I shave it, and then I shave it, and she says, no, you look like your dad, grow the damn thing back. Mike, at a month worth of growth, me putting wax, there's no point. It's not even as long as my pinky nail. I hang out with y'all and I feel like Frank Beard. You know, the guy from ZZ Top who has no beard. Oh yeah, all good things take time. That's what I tell people about brisket. All good things take time. So Mike, you said that you're a fan of peppered beef jerky, right? I believe. Yes, brisket. Brisket. That's like the official food of Texas. Now, of course, we're not talking about corned beef brisket. Howdy, Dale. Good seeing you today. So, just in case anybody's wondering, this is a Oliva Series G 6x50. Means it is a 50 ring gauge by 6 inches long. 6 inches long, that's what she said. Well, if I can't grow a beard in 6 months, that's anything better than just be ready to shave. It's not about impatience. It's more about aggravation. Yeah, the Series G is not a bad cigar. It is just one of those things that it's available at the grocery store. So yes, I did a little bit of work on this one today. If you were with me yesterday, you saw that I stained it yellow. And then I broke a little chip out of it. Damn it! I might never forgive myself. 6 months is only half a beard. Unfortunately, I only got 1/8 of the half that I'm supposed to have. Yeah, better. I definitely don't have mommy issues. I've seen a few. Oh, but those are MILF issues. Those are not mommy issues. So, here's my cigar cutter for the day. I know, a lot of people are suddenly going, no, don't do it that way, don't do it that way. Don't start by doing it this way. Use an actual cutter. Once you've gotten used to what you need to take off of your cigars, you can easily switch to a knife. It will never be completely exactly right by cigar standards. But let's remind ourselves one simple statement here. If you bought the stick, then you're allowed to screw that stick up any way you want to. Oh, I've had a yard. My yard doesn't get any better looking than this. In fact, it's reached its maximum length. Cigar punches are good. I do like to use them. I have one right here. Could have easily used it. But I wanted something a little bit larger than one of the punches I have and a little bit smaller than the other punch I have. So I'm in that situation where a knife is really my best option on that. A knife is a cutter. The problem is so many people do it wrong because they try to cut what they would normally cut if they used a true cigar cutter, instead of treating it more like taking the stem out of a strawberry. You kind of want to go down in an angle a little bit and just trim a small area that you feel is correct. It takes time and patience to learn how to cut the cap with a knife without destroying the cap. One thing I've found with the Oliva G is I like a little bit of a more open draw, but I still want as much of the shoulders of that cap on there, because I don't end up with the tobacco in my mouth anywhere near as much. Now, Dale, I don't mind that some people are good and gifted with knowing where to cut. I just try to counsel against it unless you know exactly what you're doing. Mostly because you can so easily go wrong with a knife. And if your knife is not damn near razor sharp, don't do it at all. I've seen so many people pull out a dull knife and just mutilate a cigar, and then it starts coming unraveled, and it's just, it's not worth it. Easier to just fill and smoke your pipe. Yeah. But I have yet to find a pipe blend, even the ones with cigar leaf in them or the ones that I mix myself, that truly tastes like a cigar. And I do like a cigar from time to time. I find myself more and more going to the pipe than to the cigar, but if I really want a cigar, I found that there's really not a there's just not a viable option for anything when you're really wanting a cigar. You're either going to get a cigar or you're not. Even, like I said, there's cigar blends out there, and you can even buy a cigar. You can chop it into coins, and then you can pack that into a pipe, and it still is not going to taste exactly right. I don't know why. I use a V-cutter for torpedoes when I do get them, but they've got to be at least a 50 ring gauge torpedo, because I do smoke with a wet palate, and anything other than a V-cutter for a torpedo is just going to end up plugged up and just nasty. It's hard for me to even smoke those the Champion punches. If you have seen the punch cigar known as the Champion, because it tapers into that narrowish tip, and it'll plug up on me. But luckily I'm a pipe smoker, so I can stab that portion of the check tool into the end and open up the draw even after it starts to plug up on me. One of them crazy tips you might want to be aware of. Now see, that's what I really like about smoking a cigar better than a pipe, is I can sit here and talk, and I'm not going to have to relight 3 or 4 times. I'm not going to have to worry about tamping at all. I just go ahead and I just smoke it. 1 to 2 cigars a week. That's about where I'm at right now myself, Boris. I don't always put them all on here, but I like to remind people on Fridays that yes, I am a cigar guy. And yes, I actually did work at one of the best shops in the Houston area. So, yeah, I know quite a bit about cigars. Camacho Ecuadorian wrapper last night. Looking forward to trying it out. Is that the one with the blue label, TX? I believe that's the one with the blue label. Howdy, Cliff. Good to see you today. Actually, great to see you today. Yes. I know. Funny how you're sitting there going like, oh yeah, the Camacho Ecuadorian. And I can tell you what the label on it is. It says Camacho. It's in blue with a black outlining. Camacho is either in black letters or yellow letters.
How you doing, sir? You interested in getting any tree service?
Nope. I'm not interested in getting tree service. I do my own. They always show up in the wintertime because they think it's going to be, people are not aware that that's when you're supposed to do them. Now, the Maduro V series are excellent. If you really need to know my favorite Olivas, though, there is one out there called the NC001. I don't know if they're ever going to release it, but it's been in sampler packs quite often and very tasty. And right below that one, I would say the Master 3 blends is just absolutely phenomenal. If you've never had the Oliva Master 3 blends, I would highly suggest it. Oh yeah, the Camacho Nicaragua is very good. Drew Estates, love them. There's not much you can tell me about Drew Estates that I don't already know. I've hung out with several of their sales representatives. One of my favorite, his name is Matt. If you follow along, like on the Drew Estates app, you will see DE Karaoke. He and I have talked a lot. Now, if you ever get a chance to talk to Matt, DE Karaoke, he's going to tell you about sticks and get you to try sticks that you never thought you were going to try. And I'm going to tell you, he is spot on. If you are honest with him, he is spot on about picking you a stick from their lineup that's going to be real close to your flavor profile. Now, if you're somewhere near an event where DE Karaoke, that stands for Drew Estates Karaoke, that's his nickname. And yes, he does do karaoke, so you might want to brush up on your karaoke skills and throw the challenge down. But if you're interested in trying to find a good Drew Estate stick and you see that there's an event and it says that DE Karaoke Matt is going to be there, yeah, go ask. If he can't steer you towards a stick that's in your flavor profile range, then it's because he quit. And I don't see him quitting. I really don't see him quitting. Oh yeah, the Ecuador is great. So is the Nicaragua. Both of them are really, really nice. I find different moods. I'm wanting one or the other. And quite often when I am in one of those moods, I don't even really consciously know it. But then I walk by and my mouth starts getting wet and I'm going like, okay, that's the one. In fact, most of the times when I'm not going to a super reputable cigar location where I know that they're going to have like everything, I'll often walk up and down their aisles until I find that one stick that's calling to me that way. Well, I'm glad somebody liked my tip. If you're talking about going in and talking to DE Karaoke, yeah, guy is very knowledgeable about a lot of stuff that Drew Estates has, including a lot of their off-brands that people don't readily recognize as being a Drew Estates brand. You would be surprised how much of the tobacco that is smoked in the United States is actually one or the other brand of Drew Estates. I wouldn't be surprised. I saw the amount of stuff that we had. It was ridiculous. Chillin' Moose. Actually, there's the Chillin' Moose and the Chillin' Moose 2. Both of them are actually really good. Had a guy come into the shop that I worked at and hand me one of each. We did a real quick little trade. I understand. I am not much for aromatics personally, and I will not do aromatic cigars if I can avoid it. See, how did I know that there was a TOO with the Chillin' Moose? Hi. Have you met me? I didn't just say that I've done a little bit of cigar work. I've done a lot of cigar work. And I'm going to tell you straight out, the best way to decide whether you like the stick or not is to smoke it. And if you do like the stick, and I've told this to many a person, you either write it down or you get one of those apps that will log it in for you in some way, shape, or form. And you keep track. If you say that it's good, it can be as simple as saying thumbs up or, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 1 being good or a 5 being good. You don't have to have these 98 point scales that are completely unverifiable, and nobody actually knows where you get all these points from. Looking at you, cigar aficionado. Yes, I saw your top 25 come out. Really? The lunatic? 2 years ago, lunatic, I couldn't have sold it if I wanted to, except for those people that just wanted these big monster 80 ring gauge by 12-inch cigars. They'd buy one and then they'd sit around for 6 hours smoking on it. Makes a cigar place just really want to just slap the smack out of somebody. But hey, if y'all say that the new lunatic is the #1 of the year, I'll believe you. Just show me where that $4 million in the 4% or better of their profits is going. Oh, and if somebody says I'm making this shit up, I met the guys from Esteban when the Chupacabra came out. Cigar Aficionado liked it, and they contacted the guy who owns Esteban Carreras. They said, yeah, $4 million and 4% of net profits will give it the #1. He said, no, I'm not willing to go there. He didn't even make the top 25 that year. But why would I believe the guy? Oh, I don't know. Because he didn't steer me wrong when he did steer me anywhere at all. And there really was no reason for him to lie about it. Does the cigar size shape really change the flavor or experience? Absolutely. For me, a Lancero is a guaranteed loss of money. I smoke with a wet palate. It is going to be horrible. For people who smoke with a dry palate, Lancero is the best stick you can get. The amount of wrapper compared to binder and filler means that you're going to have more flavor out of a Lancero, and it's guaranteed to be that way. There's nothing else I can tell you about it. You will get more flavor out of the Lancero. It is by and far one of the best arrangements of a stick. The next arrangement for that, I believe, would be either the pyramid or Solomon shape. Along with the pyramid Solomon, you also end up with a torpedo. It will intensify as it comes back to you. The problem there is all of those shapes, for me, with a wet palate again, they'll plug up. Now, there's a lot of different sizes and shapes out there. I'm not going to go into every single size and shape, but if you smoke with a wet palate, and you'll know after you've smoked your first 5 or 6 cigars, if the end on it looks like you've slobbered on it, you smoke with a wet palate. If the end looks dry, you smoke with a dry palate. If you smoke with a wet palate, don't go with super skinny sticks or ones that come to a point. It will plug up on you. It will ruin your experience. You will end up with tar on your tongue, and you are not going to like the flavor. I don't know of anybody who likes the flavor of cigar tar. Some cigars actually will explode when it's freezing. That comes from some of the moisture that's still in the cigars. When it expands and there's amount of freezing, it will actually it'll expand, but it will split. It's a horrible thing to experience. Howdy, Chad. Glad to see you could make it today. Oh, and in case anybody's wondering, I'm doing lunch with my son tomorrow, so in case anybody sees Steph and Skip, no, I will not be doing their tailgate because I will be probably eating with my son and his wife. We'll take some pictures. That way I can share with y'all at some point. Yeah, so it's not really that it explodes, it's that it will expand, and then you'll end up with running cracks that'll come all the way down the stick. It's almost guaranteed. In truly, truly cold situations, I always suggest a pipe over a cigar, unless, of course, you can smoke in a controlled environment that is indoors. Other things that will affect flavor is going to be your humidity level. If you do not keep your cigars at the proper humidity, somewhere around 70%, what you're going to end up with is either soggy or dry cigars. If they're soggy, dry them out. Best I can tell you. Sorry about your luck. I don't know how in the heck you ended up getting them wet. If they are too dry, it's going to be like that way over-dried pipe tobacco. It's going to burn too fast, too hot, and the flavors are not going to be there. You can rehydrate them. It's pretty easy. I would suggest the Boveda packs. There you go. 69% Bovedas in a humidor of any type, whether that be Tupperware, a Ziploc freezer bag. Yes, I suggest freezer bags over regular bags because they are thicker, so they do not allow for as much transfer of heat and moisture. You can use glass jars with a good rubber seal on it, you know, the kind that has a little handle on the side. Those work quite well. Seriously, you can find a glass or plastic jar at Walmart for cheap with a couple of Boveda packs, and you can fill it up with cigars. Now, if you're going to go and buy a humidor, figure out how many sticks you feel you would be willing to keep around your house at any one given time. The maximum amount. Add 10 to 25% and get a humidor that can cover that amount. If you feel like you are only going to keep a box of 20, you're going to need at least 25 count humidor. Because as you run out, you get down to that last 5, you might think, hey, I'll pick up another box. Well, now you've got 5 that are sitting outside of your humidor. Or if you buy, like, certain brands have 24 and 25 count in a box. If you think you're 100, go for that 125. You don't know when you're going to come across that perfect deal where you need to have that little bit of extra space. And it's always nice to have extra. And if you remember, as you use your supply, you need to start replenishing it. Best kept humidors are 80% full. And that's the reason why I said figure out what your max is. Add 10 to 25% and get a humidor at least that size. 80% allows for enough airflow and enough humidity from your Boveda packs or your humidification agents or whatever it is, so that you're not destroying your cigars. They're expensive. There's no reason to destroy them. And yes, I have seen people destroy cigars by not taking care of their humidor. One other note of caution. If you are buying cigars and they are not from a very reputable source, when you get the cigars, put them in a big Ziploc, gallon-sized bag. Put them in the freezer for 2 to 4 weeks. A cigar beetle infestation in your humidor will ruin your humidor. At that point, pick your whole humidor up, throw it out, just be gone with it. The eggs that they lay are damn near microscopic. And I swear to you, you will have a million holes in all your cigars as these beetles hatch out of one cigar. They will infest the rest of your cigars, eating and laying eggs as they go. You go down to Mexico, you want to buy some Cuban cigars, even though you found, yes, they are Cubans, bring them home, freeze them. Now you come into Houston, you go to Casa de Monte Cristo, Stogie's, okay? Those two I can guarantee, when you buy those cigars out of those shops, super reputable. They've been stored correctly. They've been accounted for the whole damn time. You're not going to end up with a bunch of beetles. I know a guy who went down to Nicaragua, brought back from a factory he didn't know anything about 5 sticks, put them in his humidor. 3 days later, shows up in my shop, and his sticks looked like Swiss cheese. Yeah, cigar beetles. And here's the problem with cigar beetles. You're trying to freeze the actually alive beetles. That's the first step. But you're also needing to freeze long enough to kill the eggs. Now, once they get into the cedar of a good humidor, you're done. They'll eat enough to stay warm, and cedar has enough content for them to eat, so you can't just freeze it. I mean, I guess you could throw a bed bug bomb off in the middle of it and let it fumigate. That might work. But I never would put another cigar in the damn thing, because then you're just putting all that poison right back into your mouth. I know, such a lovely topic, isn't it? Why did we get me going on cigars? Damn it. I know too much. I know too much. But yes, these things are actually very important. You go down to El Salvador and pick up some cigars, bring them home and freeze them. If you're buying them from Jose that just came back from Cuba, take them home and freeze them. I always suggest at least 4 weeks. I've heard that you can get away with 2 weeks. Now, you freeze your cigars. You pull them out. You open the bag. You put a Boveda pack in there. About 69%. Remember, freezing, you're going to take almost all the humidity out of those sticks. Well, okay. Yes, I forgot Boris is here. He does have the deep freeze on lock. Ugh. I would suggest 6 weeks of letting them reacclimate to a better moisture content. The thing about Boveda packs are when they dry out, they will get crispy. So every couple of days, if you're going to freeze a set, and then you're going to do that with the Boveda pack, you check that Boveda pack. You put it in a spot where you can actually feel the sides of it. When it starts getting crispy, and yes, you're going to understand what I mean by crispy, then you need to open another Boveda pack and put it in there. Don't get rid of the old Boveda pack, though. I've got a secret here. In a different 1-gallon Ziploc bag, take a bowl of distilled water, small bowl, doesn't have to be a great big one. You put the bowl of distilled water, and yes, you want it to be distilled. You want to make sure that it is super clean because you do not want to create a mold situation. But you take that bowl of distilled water, you put it in the bag, you put a couple of Boveda packs in there, you seal it shut, you put it on a kitchen countertop where it gets to around 70-ish degrees. You know, so average, basically, any kitchen countertop will do. And it will regenerate that Boveda packs. Boveda packs do 2 things. They will absorb if it's too moist. They will give off if it's too dry. That's the reason I suggest Boveda packs, is because it's the only system I know of that works both ways. Most systems only release, they don't absorb. Boveda packs do both. And for you lucky or unfortunate, however you want to look at it, people who live where cannabis is legal, they make Boveda packs that'll fit that bill also, but you want to use something drier from what I understand. And I say from what I understand because I don't know from experience, and I'm never going to know from experience. But you can't learn about Boveda packs without somewhat learning about the fact that they actually started because people wanted to keep their weed fresh. Oh, you can keep a Boveda pack getting refreshed until the outer jacket starts to tear up or disintegrate. I've got some that are several years old. The other thing you can do, and this is one of those tricks I learned from a different friend. There is a cigar maker by the name of Alec Bradley, and they put out periodically a Toro sampler pack, which will have 4 or 5 cigars in it, depending upon which ones you get. And the whole back layer of that is a humidifier. You can take a gallon jug of distilled water, you can pour it into there, get it about a quarter of the way full, let it sit in there for a day, pour out whatever's left of it, and then load that thing full of Boveda packs. And your Boveda packs will absorb all the excess moisture and they will be ready to go. Again, make sure you use distilled water because mold will ruin your cigars worse than everything except for cigar beetles. You can maybe cut the mold off. You can't cut the beetles out. Sorry. Also, if you happen to be buying cigars in places where you maybe should or shouldn't, if you walk through their stacks and you start seeing that there's cigars that have little, looks like pinholes in them, turn around, leave. It's just better not to deal with that because you're still going to end up with bug shit in your cigars. Oh, is that unpolite to say? Well, that's the truth. They eat and then they crap and they're in your cigars. So what are you doing? You're smoking bug crap. You can hate me for it later. Oh yeah, cigar maintenance 101. And yes, there's a million places out there where you can buy cigars that are completely trash, but they're a great price. At least if you freeze those cigars and you didn't see any holes when you were freezing them, the level of bug poo is not going to be very extreme. The mini Bovedas are actually really good for rehydrating pipe tobacco. In fact, I will show you what they look like. Well, no, this is a full-sized one. This is what you're looking for. And this one is starting to get a little bit crispy. So I need to start paying attention to it a little bit more. Especially being that it's protecting that sweet baby right there. Of course, that sweet baby right there might end up getting smoked this weekend. I said I was keeping it around until my son come back from overseas. Well, guess who's going to be eating lunch with me tomorrow? Not a problem. Not only do I tailgate, I try to educate. That is correct. Now, the mini Bovedas are good for about 5 cigars. The full-size Bovedas are good for about 20 cigars. You can use a full-size Boveda for 5 cigars, but you can't use the mini Boveda by itself for 20 cigars. It just won't work. I have tried the HumaSmart. Again, it does not seem to have the two-way moisture control. And because I am in Houston, I have days where it's 95% humidity, and I have days where it's 60% humidity. And you want to keep a cigar at about 70%. Pipe tobacco, I think you can go a bit lower on the humidity, but don't go any lower than 50%. Now, for something that's almost never discussed, and I've got just enough time to talk about it. If you buy a humidor, sounds like a reasonable thing to do, it will show up dry because they can't soak it down and put it in a box. There's just too many problems with doing it that way. So you're going to buy a dry humidor. You need to get the highest range Boveda pack you can get. Now, that's about 89%, I think. Might be 86, 89. It's right in that area. These packs are worthless for anything other than seasoning a humidor. You put one in for every 20 sticks that your humidor can handle. So if you got 120, you buy 5 of them, you throw them in the humidor, take some saran wrap, wrap it nice and tight, keep it snug, put it where you're going to be keeping your cigars for 2 weeks. Yes, you heard that right. 2 weeks. Don't open it. Don't even look at it. Just let the humidity do what it's supposed to be doing. That cedar is absorbing the humidity. If you immediately go in and you put sticks in that humidor, they will be bone dry in 3 days. But you can't put your sticks in there with those 89% humidity Bovedas, because all they're going to do is they're either going to end up soggy, moldy, or destroyed. Now, Boris, I'm not disagreeing. HumaSmart might be two-way. The problem with HumaSmart is I don't trust them as well as the Bovedas, because the Bovedas have been around for so long doing exactly what they've been doing. They've actually been the cutting edge, leading the way in the whole process. Everybody else is playing catch up to them, and I mean, yes, you can buy knockoff stuff, and sometimes it'll work. But when you're talking about, 20 sticks, let's just call it $120. Those are cheap sticks. But you could be throwing away $120. I'm not saying that HumaSmart is bad. I'm just saying I don't have as much familiarity with them, and I don't trust them. When someone can prove to me that they are just as good, I'll start trusting them. So anyways, you get done with the 2 weeks. Those Boveda packs should be kind of crispy. You take them, you can either throw them in a Ziploc bag and wait for the next time that you need to season some other humidor, or you throw them out. You put the 69% humidity packs in there, you load it up full of sticks, and your humidor is ready to go. Of course, you don't need to worry about that with glass or plastic or some sort of composite materials that don't breathe that way. In fact, Boveda came out with a absolutely clear humidor. It works great. It's even got little slots underneath so that your Boveda packs can sit there without having to be actually touching your cigars. And realistically, the other side is Boveda packs are really kind of inexpensive. The big ones are like $5. You're saying $5, and how well is that going to work? They work really well. $5 worth of prevention is better than $125 worth of cure. Maybe it's just me, but if I'm going to spend money on a good cigar, I want it to still be a good cigar when I get to smoking it, even if it's the last one. If I'm going to smoke one a day and I bought a box of 24, that's still 24 days out. One Boveda for $5 extra. Perfect. Also, I do know that Boveda packs are available worldwide. I've got friends in Australia that's using them. I've got friends in Japan that are using them. I've seen pictures of people in China that are using them. India, I've seen 2 or 3 different countries in Africa that I know I've seen pictures from. 5 or 6 countries in South America that I am certain have used them, including Cuba, which everybody tends to love a Cuban cigar. A lot of that is because, yeah, they're pretty damn good cigars. But when most of the world is using it, and when I'm saying most of the world, I'm saying most of the reputable people in the world who are into cigars are using that particular item. Yeah, I kind of trust that. Plus, the guy who really got me into it was not cigars specifically, but using the Bovedas. He works for NASA. He might know a few scientists that might know a few things. I'm not going to say he's any smarter than the rest of us, but if he died today, I could go over to his house and start smoking, and if I had one a day just from the collection that's at his house, I would be smoking one a day for the next 5 years easily. Yes, he's that into cigars. Quite honestly, I think he's got about $10,000 worth of sticks. But hey, it's not just my word for it. It's also the word of, like I said, just about every reputable cigar dealer on the planet. And yes, almost everybody that came through my shop when I worked at a cigar shop, if they were buying more than 4 sticks, I was trying to get them to buy a Boveda pack. Even if it was just to take them from the store to their house. One of those mini Boveda packs in the car could be the difference between perfect cigars and junk. Of course, again, Houston is rather warm, and if you're keeping your cigars in the car, you could pretty well bake the hell out of them in just a few hours. So I noticed now that it is getting pretty close to time where Chad should be coming on. I am not trying to chew into his time, so let me pull up his particular station. Looky there, I've got more Jay Allen videos to watch later today. And so that I can make sure that we are still aware of where I'm at. Okay. So here is, as Mike has pointed out, probably a pear wood fake briar cheap pipe that I am using to practice my skills on refinishing. It is the second basic bowl that I'm working on. No, it'll never be briar. No, it'll never be beautiful. But if you don't practice, and then you get to that point where you're starting to carve your own or make some of your own, yeah, well, I'm not willing to do that to a piece of briar without being aware that I am ready to attempt something better and extend my abilities. Not a problem, Cliff. It has been absolutely a great privilege and pleasure to be here with all of you. I know I feel like I'm lecturing, and I'm sorry about that. I'm not attempting to lecture. But I do have a lot of cigar knowledge, and some of that actually does move into the pipes. Most of the better cigar shops are also going to have some pipe selection. And if you've worked in one, you probably have learned both. I was lucky enough that I learned quite a bit of both. And I know any of this information, if y'all are wanting to have it remade for you in some way, shape, or form, look, I'm here pretty much every Friday. I try to smoke a cigar. On Thursdays, I try to smoke a pipe. I'm not trying to force knowledge into you. You don't have to take notes. I am more than happy with, if you ask and I have that knowledge, I'm going to share it with you. And if you ask and I don't know, I am not afraid to say I don't know. Of course, I will almost always go right back and looks like I'm doing dinner tomorrow instead of lunch. So, wow, yeah, Cool. Well, Boris, if you are not going out to smoke another bowl tonight, I feel safe and secure in the knowledge that your pipe tobacco is safe from all takers except for you. Anybody who wants to brave that kind of cold just to go get hurt for trying to steal Boris's tobacco, well, they deserve the beating that they shall receive. And again, it is always my pleasure to have y'all here with me. Doing this keeps me sane. Hopefully being able to, set everything aside for a little while and not have to think about COVID for a little bit. Hopefully that helps y'all also. So that I don't miss out on doing this, everybody take care of yourselves. Take care of each other as you can. Always remember, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're really not going to be able to take care of anybody else anyways. As soon as I know that Chad's on, we'll be getting out of here, which normally he's pretty close on that 4 o'clock. Which, according to my clock, that's now, but oh, look, his channel's come up. He's not live yet, but his channel's come up, and he's live. So, thank y'all for coming in. Let's all go over there and fill up Chad's chat, as always. Long lives, big bowls, and long ashes. Y'all take care, and I'll see you over on Yardism's channel real soon. Bye-bye now.